The quiet hum of the morning settled over our home as I, a 26-year-old man, indulged in the rare luxury of a day off. The air was thick with anticipation, unaware that the calm would soon be shattered by the revelation that awaited me on social media. I idly scrolled through my Facebook feed, my attention captured by a familiar name, my wife's cousin Daniel. A casual click, a moment of curiosity, and my world shifted. Editorials. There, in a private message meant for my wife, were words that tore through the facade of our seemingly stable life. Cousin Daniel's message, rife with implications and dark suggestions, was a dagger to the heart. Staring at the screen, I felt the gravity of those words sink in. "I'd like to see you on your knees." As the confusion morphed into realization, a sickening pit forming in my stomach. It wasn't me Daniel was addressing. It was my wife, the woman I had trusted with my heart. The silence that followed hung heavy in the air. I closed the laptop, my mind swirling with a mix of shock and disbelief. It stirred that day, as the clock's hands marked the passage of time. I couldn't shake the weight of what I had discovered. A thick air between my wife and me grew tense, each passing moment pulling us closer to the impending confrontation. In the dim light of our living room, I broke the silence. I saw a message on Facebook. I began cautiously, my voice strained with the burden of the truth I held. Her eyes, once filled with warmth, now flickered with a mix of surprise and unease. "What message?" she replied, feigning innocence, but the tremor in her voice betrayed the guilt that lingered beneath the surface. Hesitated, the words catching in my throat, but I couldn't let the deceit fester. From Daniel, I uttered, my gaze fixed on hers, searching for a trace of honesty. Her response was a mere shrug, an attempt to downplay the significance of the message. "Oh, that? It's nothing, just Daniel being Daniel. Don't read too much into it." As my patience waned, replaced by a surge of frustration. "Nothing? It's everything. What the hell is going on between you two?" I demanded, my voice rising, the tension in the room reaching its breaking point. The truth, a shadow lingering in the corners of our shared history, was about to emerge. The evening descended, draped in an uneasy tension that clung to the walls of our home. The weight of Daniel's message hung between us, an unspoken truth demanding acknowledgement. My wife, seemingly unfazed, dismissed it as though it were a mere ripple in the fabric of our existence. As we sat in the dim glow of our living room, the air thickened with unspoken words. I couldn't shake the unease that twisted in my gut, a pretty and silent plea for the reality I wished weren't true. "Why are you so worked up about it?" my wife asked, her voice light, a forced nonchalance that grated against my unraveling nerves. "It's just Daniel being inappropriate. Being inappropriate like always." I shot her a look, a mixture of disbelief and frustration. "Inappropriate? This goes beyond that. What's the history between you two that I don't know about?" She sighed as if burdened by my questions. "There's nothing. We're family and families have their quirks." "You're overreacting." I couldn't let it stand. I'm not overreacting. This is about trust, about honesty. What aren't you telling me? She shifted uncomfortably, her gaze avoiding mine. It's just Daniel. We've known each other for so long. It's nothing more than harmless banter. Harmless banter. I scoffed, the bitterness in my tone mirroring the bitterness of the situation. Daniel is family, and there's a line. You can't just dismiss this. Her eyes met mine, and for a fleeting moment I saw a glimmer of unease. Look, we'll talk about it later. But it was a big deal. That's the elephant in the room refused to be ignored. We need to talk about this now. What am I missing here? She sighed, frustration etching lines on her face. Fine, we'll talk. But can it wait until after I've had some rest? I have work tomorrow, and I don't want it to go in exhausted. The conversation lingered, unresolved as the night wore on. As the walls of denial that she erected only fueled my determination to unveil the truth, no matter the cost. The whispered promises of a later discussion hung in the air, leaving me alone with the weight of uncertainty. The next day dawned with a relentless ache in my chest. The unanswered questions from the night before lingered like a persistent shadow, urging me to delve deeper into the mysteries concealed within the fragments of Daniel's message, leading me down a path I wished I hadn't taken. As I scrolled through the clandestine exchanges, my mind grappled with the stark reality. Messages encrypted with the language of betrayal unfolded before me. I'd thumbed through the visceral details of their past encounters left me breathless, each revelation a stab to the heart. In the quiet solitude of our home, I couldn't escape the knowing fear that their intimacy extended beyond mere words. The concern for my own well-being mingled with the fear of what I might find next. The phone rang, jolting me from the abyss of my thoughts. I tell you an etern circumference, uncertain whether I was ready for the confrontation that awaited. Hey, me. My wife's voice sounded from the other end, the casualness of her tone at odds with the storm brewing within me. What do you want? A plate at work right now. No, we can't. I need answers. A pregnant pause hung between us, the tension palpable even through the phone. The call ended, leaving me with a sense of foreboding. The digital shadows had unveiled a betrayal that cut deep, and the confrontation looming on the horizon promised to be an emotional tempest. I took a deep breath, preparing to face the storm that awaited me. The evening arrived, draped in the heavy shroud of anticipation. Since can't-be air between us crackled with tension as we sat in the dimly lit living room. To ITs, the weight of the impending confrontation hung over us like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. I couldn't delay any longer. We need to talk. I've seen the messages, the history between you and Daniel. It's not just banter. Her eyes darted away, a flicker of guilt betraying her facade. Why were you snooping? This is an invasion of privacy, she snapped, attempting to deflect the blame. Snooping? After what I found, you're accusing me of snooping. You've been keeping secrets, and I had to find out the truth. She sighed, a resignation settling in. Fine, let's talk. But don't blow this out of proportion. As we tiptoed around the minefield of our shared history, the revelations spilled out like a torrent. Each admission, each painful truth, felt like a hammer striking the fragile remains of our once unbreakable bond. "I can't believe you did this to us," I accused, my voice laced with betrayal. "How could you let it go this far with Daniel?" She avoided eye contact, her gaze fixed on some distant point. "It wasn't supposed to be like this. It just happened. Just happened? This isn't a casual fling. This is a betrayal of our marriage," I exclaimed, the harsh reality hanging between us like an unspoken verdict. Tears welled in her eyes, a mixture of remorse and frustration. "I never meant for it to hurt you. Actually, it was a mistake, a terrible mistake." The room echoed with the weight of our shattered vows. The decision to divorce became a haunting inevitability in my words. Silence enveloped us, the truth lingering like a bitter aftertaste. As the decision to end our marriage was made in that moment, a bitter acknowledgement of irreparable damage. The unraveling threads of our marriage demanded closure, and the path to healing seemed fraught with thorns. That's in the aftermath of our confrontation, the remnants of our shattered marriage lay scattered like shards of glass. As the gravity of our decision to divorce sunk in, an unexpected connection emerged from the wreckage. A bond forged not in betrayal but in shared pain. In the days that followed, I found solace in the company of Amelia, Daniel's wife. Our worlds collided in the aftermath of the affair, and in the midst of the emotional turmoil, an unlikely friendship blossomed. One evening, we sat in a coffee shop, the weight of our shared experiences casting a somber shadow over our conversation. Miss Amelia, her eyes reflecting the echoes of betrayal, spoke first. "Actors, I never thought I'd find myself in this situation," she admitted, her voice tinged with a mix of sadness and frustration. "Daniel and I were supposed to be a family." I nodded in understanding, the shared pain forming unspoken language between us. It's like our entire foundation was a lie. "How do you move on from that?" Amelia sighed, her gaze fixed on the swirls in her coffee. "I don't know if you ever fully move on. Maybe you just learn to carry the weight differently." As the days passed, our shared experiences became a bridge between us, a fragile connection in a world of uncertainty. We faced the challenges of rebuilding our lives with a shared understanding of the betrayal that had unraveled our marriages. Sub-Sulfite Syria. One evening, as we sat in the quiet solitude of Amelia's living room, the weight of our shared pain bore down on us. Hesitated before speaking, unsure of how to articulate the bond that had grown between us. I never expected to find comfort in someone who shares the same pain. I admitted my voice vulnerable, but I'm grateful for it. Amelia met my gaze, a flicker of gratitude in her eyes. Sometimes it takes shared suffering to find solace. We're not alone in this mess. The uncharted territory of our evolving connection presented both comfort and challenge. As we navigated the emotional terrain together, I couldn't help but wonder how this unexpected bond would shape our individual paths forward. In the days that followed, our conversations delved into the intricacies of healing, forgiveness, and the possibility of a future untethered from the shadows of betrayal. Together, we faced the unknown, finding solace in the companionship born from the ruins of our shattered marriages. Exegetically, in the wake of the revelation and the decision to divorce, the echoes of betrayal reverberated through the once hallowed halls of our shared life. Passions, raw and unfiltered, surged like a relentless tide, threatening to drown any semblance of normalcy we had left. Every room in our home, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, now bore the scars of a love betrayed. One evening, amidst the stifling silence of our living room, I couldn't hold back the pain any longer. How did it come to this? How did we let it all unravel? I asked, my voice laden with the weight of regret. Being my soon-to-be ex-wife, her eyes swollen from the tears that had become our daily companions, met my gaze. I never wanted it to end like this. I got lost along the way. But the admission hung in the air. In the quiet of that moment, the reality of our broken vows loomed larger than life. That the outside world mirrored the internal turmoil. Deb's friends, once pillars of support, now navigated the fractured landscape of our lives with cautious steps. Each interaction carried the unspoken question: how could we have missed the cracks in the facade of our seemingly happy marriage? One day, in a rare moment of candor, I faced my mother, her eyes heavy with concern. "Did you see it coming? The betrayal?" I asked, seeking answers that felt elusive. She sighed, a mixture of sadness and regret etched on her face. I wish I had, but sometimes the ones we love blinds us to the shadows they cast. The truth, a bitter pill, offered no solace. But the wounds of betrayal ran deep, cutting through the fabric of trust that had once bound us together. The echoes of the past, whispered regrets, and unspoken apologies filled the void left by the crumbling remains of our marriage. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the echoes of betrayal became a haunting refrain. The process of untangling our lives seemed an insurmountable task, each step forward accompanied by the ghostly footfalls of the past. This is in the quiet moments when the world faded into the background. The weight of the shared history pressed upon us, leaving us to grapple with the fallout of a love that had withered and died. The path to healing seemed treacherous, and the echoes of betrayal became the uninvited guests in our journey toward an uncertain future. It's amidst the ruins of our shattered marriage, a crucial decision loomed, the necessity to break free from the chains of a past tainted by betrayal. But your realization that our paths had diverged, irreversibly altering the trajectory of our lives, brought with it a sense of urgency to untangle the remaining threads that bound us. One day, as the divorce proceedings gained momentum, my soon-to-be ex-wife and I sat across from each other in the office of our mediator, the air thick with the residue of emotions we hadn't yet learned to navigate. "It's time to discuss the division of assets," The timid mediator declared, the weight of the statement hanging in the air like a solemn decree. My soon-to-be ex-wife sighed, her eyes avoiding mine. I don't want this to be messy. Let's just get it over with quickly. Agreed, I replied, my voice devoid of the bitterness that had colored our previous interactions. The determination to move forward eclipsed the remnants of our shared history. As the practicalities of the divorce unfolded, the symbolic act of signing papers became a rite of passage. But the strokes of the pen, once used to seal promises of forever, now etched the finality of our separation. Appearing in the midst of the legal proceedings, my mother reached out, her voice a mixture of concern and support. Are you sure about this? There's still time to reconsider. I took a deep breath, the weight of the decision pressing upon me. I can't continue living in a facade. It's time to break free and rediscover who I am outside of this marriage. Her eyes softened, a maternal concern underscoring her words. Just remember, breaking free doesn't mean forgetting the love you once shared. It's about reclaiming your own narrative. First, the echoes of her wisdom reverberated within me as I faced the uncertain road ahead. Their breaking free became not just a legal formality, but a symbolic act of reclaiming agency over my life. In the quieter moments, away from the paperwork and legalities, the emotional process of breaking free unfolded. Late at night, I found solace in the conversations with Amelia, the unexpected confidant in this journey of healing. It's one evening as we sat on her porch, the fading sunlight casting long shadows. Amelia shared her perspective on breaking free. It's not just about ending a marriage. It's about rediscovering your own identity, building a new life from the ruins. I nodded, the truth in her words resonating with the burgeoning sense of liberation. The breaking free is a process, isn't it? It is, she affirmed, a quiet strength in her gaze. But remember, you're not alone in this. We're both forging new paths, and there's strength in that solidarity. As the chapter of our marriage concluded, the act of breaking free became a testament to resilience. Into the road ahead, uncertain and uncharted, held the promise of self-discovery and the possibility of a future unburdened by the echoes of betrayal. This is in the aftermath of divorce, the landscape of our lives transformed into an uncharted territory, inviting us to explore the possibilities that lay beyond the wreckage of our shattered marriage. That the once familiar paths now blurred into a mosaic of uncertainties, promising both challenges and newfound freedom. One day, amidst the boxes of memories packed away, I found myself standing in the doorway of our shared home, a place that once echoed with laughter, whispered promises, and the warmth of companionship. The emptiness within mirrored the void left by our dissolved marriage. Amelia, sensing the weight of the moment, joined me in the silent contemplation. It's strange, isn't it? How a place filled with memories can become a stranger to us. She remarked, her gaze fixed on the now hollow spaces that once held the essence of our shared life. I nodded, the bittersweet realization settling in. It's like saying goodbye to a version of ourselves. The people we were in this house no longer exist. The echoes of our shared sentiment linger, a quiet acknowledgement of the transformative power of endings and beginnings. As we closed that chapter of our lives, the promise of an uncharted future beckoned, challenging us to redefine who we were outside the confines of a marriage that had unraveled. In the quest for self-discovery, I found unexpected companionship in Amelia. Facing our shared experiences became the scaffolding upon which we built a tentative friendship, a bridge connecting the fragments of our respective pasts. This is one evening, as we sat on the porch, sipping coffee and watching the sun dip below the horizon. Amelia broached the topic of the uncharted future. What do you see beyond this? For yourself, what mean? She asked, her eyes reflecting a curiosity tinged with hope. The question lingered in the air, prompting me to contemplate the contours of the road ahead. I don't know, honestly. It's a blank canvas, and I'm still figuring out what I want to paint on it. She smiled, a glimmer of encouragement in her expression. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? There's the chance to redefine yourself, to explore uncharted territories without the weight of the past. As the weeks turned into months, the uncharted future became a canvas on which we painted the strokes of our evolving lives. A process of rebuilding, though daunting, held the promise of newfound resilience and the potential for unexpected joys. The finality of divorce didn't mark the end, but rather the beginning of a journey toward self-discovery. In the quiet moments of introspection, I embraced the uncertainty, realizing that an uncharted future held the potential for growth, healing, and the rediscovery of a resilient spirit. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you think about the story.